Back in the basement again today to go over a gym tour, if you will. It's been about 10 months since I've done an update here, and at the time I just moved into my house, just started setting up the gym. A lot has changed. Now I want to preface this by saying that you can consider myself an enthusiast, which is just a good way for me to say that I've spent way too much money on my own home gym. It's always consistently changing too. I've been getting a lot of comments lately about some of the plates I've been posting saying, hey, I thought you bought the Strength Co ones because of this and that. Just know that a lot of stuff comes and a lot of stuff goes in my gym, and it's always changing. Because I like to do so many reviews and I just like equipment in general, as you'll find out from this video, it only makes sense to kind of keep things flowing because I just can't keep everything. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the current state of the basement. All right, so we're gonna start coming down the stairs into the basement, and we'll start with this bare area and kind of walk around. Now this wall, initially, I thought I was going to get a mirror here, and I still might, but I've been toying with the idea of finishing some of the walls in the basement, so just drywalling wherever you see concrete will give me more options in order to hang more stuff potentially, but also just make the space cleaner. But as of right now, there is nothing here on this wall. I'll start right here with this though, however. This is a Rubox by AbMat, and if you can kind of see there, it does have my logo embossed on it. However, they did it the wrong way. So this is the negative space color, so everything that's white should be black and vice versa. However, this is a great actual plyo box. If you're interested, you can flip it on any side, and depending on how you flip it is going to dictate how tall it is. And it does have some foam on here, so you're not gonna bang up your shins if you can't jump as high as you used to back in the day. Now coming to this corner, I owe you guys a review on this and a lot of things that you'll see in this video. This is our Peloton. I love this thing. I've ridden it every single day since we've gotten it, even doing my powerlifting style training. However, a lot of that is just these 5-minute rides. I also posted this on Instagram, but we got one of these adapters that you can see right here, which basically allows you to pivot this out in case you want to do other classes outside of just riding. Typically, you can only do that on the Bike Plus, but we like this thing a lot. Then coming over here to probably my favorite thing in the whole gym, which is my rack. This is, or was, I should say, a Rogue RM3. So that means it's 30 inches deep, which I've since modified to also include the weight storage. So there's a 24-inch weight storage, and the weight is actually just on there. I just put this up. These are the Strength Co plates on there. Dedicated video reviews for almost everything I'm gonna show you. One of the newest additions, however, are these split change plate holders that I just got from Sornex. I like those a lot because it allows me to store my 35s on here, yet also store all my change plates without going too high up the rack. Some other things to call out on here, which I'm a big fan of, obviously, the bar don't lie with my own logo right in there as well. Rogue's not currently doing these, unfortunately, but this is a great way to customize your rack. And one of the reasons I typically like Rogue stuff, because they do offer previously some ways to customize it as well. Speaking of customizations, you'll see some of this stuff here, like on my safety straps. I have these detent pins that allow you to quickly take these off if you want to. So that way, if I want to use these pin pipe safeties down here, I can. Or if I just want to get the safety straps off, I can do that as well. I also have these custom roller J hooks by Connor Hobson. I don't believe he's actually making these anymore, but I love these things and they've held up extremely well. I've had them for about 2 years and I use them every time I squat. They're my favorite roller J cups that I've used and made tons of them. Speaking of roller J cups, the Ghost ones are up here, but you can see that there's no longer rollers in them. Instead, I have these Duffalo blocks in there, and these are awesome. They're an expensive option for just using for Duffalo bar squats, but I don't think it gets any better than these. And the actual roller cup itself, the cup and the construction is second to none, really high quality, but the price point is also really high up there. Down here, you'll also see the first ever Rogue bench prop. This is one of the prototype versions. I believe they changed some of the way that this is actually put together. Like, I don't think they use these big bolts here anymore. I think they use 5/8 inch bolts. But this is the original one that we initially planned with Rogue. I love this thing a lot. It allows you to keep your bench nice and center in the same spot every time. And again, it connects via pins as well. So if I want to adjust where the bench is, maybe the depth, or maybe I just want to take this off because I want to do incline work or anything else, this thing can quickly get out of the way. Now in here, I do have the Rogue adjustable 2.0 solid bench, and by solid I mean extremely heavy. This thing weighs like 150 pounds. It's extremely expensive, but I love it. I've owned it since I first bought my first home gym piece of equipment back in 2015, so 6 years later, and it's still going super strong, which is a great thing about it. Back in the rear, I have some new pickups. These are Golden's cast iron kettlebells made in the USA. UPS destroyed these things coming, but I'll be doing a review on these, some made in USA kettlebells. So I'm just holding them back there because, as you'll see in a minute, where I keep my other kettlebells, they're probably just too heavy to keep those there to begin with. So that's the rack. I think the only thing I haven't called out on there is maybe this, the Rogue Monster landmine. I like it a lot. This is one of 2 landmines I have. And then also I have these Rogue squat handles up here. So typically these are used to brace yourself for doing things like Hatfield squats. I've modified them slightly so that the R has a white background to kind of match the rest of the rack itself. But as you can tell right now, I'm using these for pull-ups. I like them a lot. You can also use them for Hatfield squats. I'm actually working with a company to make something a little bit more ideal for pull-ups, but these are great because they take up little space and you can adjust them to any width that you'd want. So you'll hear more about that in the future as well. Let's start over here in this corner. Tucked away by no fault of their own are the Rogue wagon wheels. These things are great for block pulls and hip thrusters as well. These are solid. I like them a lot, have held up extremely well. Next to that is a newer piece to the gym, which I love a lot, is the Sorinex Iron Bear. So this currently has a total of 5 shells, 4 of which are for dumbbells. The top shelf are for things like these ab mat medicine balls, which are super nice balls. Best balls I've gotten my hands on. Well, second best set of balls I've gotten my hands on. And there's some kettlebells up there from Rep Fitness. Again, those are a little bit lighter, so I don't mind keeping them up there. The shelf that these are on, probably hard to see, it comes with like a stall mat type lining, which I like a lot. The dumbbells are Rep Fitness as well. These are their urethane dumbbells. I have everything from 5 to 100 pounds in 5-pound jumps. I might eventually get the heavier ones. I don't really find myself using them a ton. That would warrant it, and the 105s to 120s or 125s are super expensive. They probably cost as much as just this whole set right here. On the Iron Bear as well, one of the things I like is it has bar storage, and right now I have a total of 8 barbells on here. Some ones of note are the Rogue Ohio Power Bar in stainless steel. There's also a Bear Steel Equipment Cerakote black bar here, which has these machined ring grips. Some people call these death rings, but I actually like the feel of them a lot. Don't remember which ones are back there, but I throw the 2 bars back there that I use the least because, as you can see, based off of the space and how you get in there, it's going to be tough to get them, so I don't worry too much about that. Coming over here again, some bars to call out. There's the Rep stainless steel rackable curl bar. There's also a Texas Power Bar in white Cerakote. I had them special make this for me. Initially, they were making white Cerakote bars and they stopped them for a while, and I said, can you please just make me one more? And they said, we will, and they did, and it's great. I like it a lot. It's held up really well. The white isn't as dirty as I thought it would be over time. And behind that, there is a custom axle from Gorilla Strength Equipment. It's gonna be hard to see because it's all in black. I'll talk about that at some point. It's knurled as well, kind of like a power bar would be. That's a great bar. And then the Ohio bar in stainless steel as well. And some nice customization on this Iron Bear. You have the laser cut logo there, which I think is really nice. Then I have some utility pins here, which I use to store my lever belts, which I like to give kudos to myself because I've never found a way to store these in a efficient way before. Right now, looks pretty good for me. I also have a custom dip belt down here made by Pioneer, as are all of these belts. And then also just a Sorinex dip bar attachment right there as well. I like this one better than the Rogue one because this one has built-in storage in it based off the way it hangs. Again, I have a video on that. On the floor next to it, new addition, these Vulcan Alpha bumper plates. They sent me a couple of pairs of these. I got to figure out a way to work them in. I'm just at the end of a training cycle right now, so I'm not trying to introduce too many new forms of stimulus. And I'd probably use these for more like clean and jerks, power cleans, that kind of thing. So we'll see, video to come potentially. Over here in the corner, you guys know what this is. This is the Prime Fitness Selectorized HLP single stack. This thing is awesome. Some things to note, I switched out all of the Prime green for black. so it looks really clean. I have these ab mat quarter rings, which I just posted on Instagram about, that I really like for the price. It's like 2 of these for 30 bucks. Black carabiners, which I didn't do a video on. I also have these bare steel equipment pins. So here's just a normal selector pin. What I like about these is, number one, they're customized, but also they have all these magnets on the back if it wants to focus. So that way when you put these in, it magnetizes itself to the weight stack so they don't go anywhere. I also have their weight pin, again, customized. This one's in black Cerakote. So the thought with this is you put these in if you're a boss and you can max out your weight stack. Well, especially on this for the prime single stack, the adjustable cable column on here is a 2-to-1 ratio. So even though this is a 350 pound stack, that means the actual weight on the selectorized cable column is only like, what, 175. So if you're doing like low rows or anything like that, seated rows, you can put this in, which is 5 pounds, which is also nice because it gives you some better jumps, because the jumps on these plates are 20 pounds each. You can then throw some plates on here as well. So you can either go past the main weight stack, or if you want to do, let's say, like a jump of 5 pounds or 10 pounds or 12.5 pounds, you can do it with that weight selector pin. I like it a lot, obviously. Now over here on the prime stack, what I also like is that it has on the feet these 1-inch hole spaces. So I have the low row foot plate attachment on there right now, as well as the Rogue hip thruster bench pad attachment, which up until recently I'd been keeping on the back of my bench over here, which always got kind of in the way. I didn't like where it was. And especially since I've added plate storage, it was just kind of a pain to get on and off. So now that it's over here, it's nice and convenient and easy access for me to get. I then have this Valor Fitness 9-bar holder. I picked this up when I was in the garage when we were in between houses. Right now it currently has, what, 6 barbells and a shoulder rock. Some barbells of note on here. We have some new bars from Vulcan, which I think you guys will appreciate. I've been getting asked a lot to do reviews on these. There's an Elite Power Bar and an Absolute Power Bar. One in black oxide, one in black zinc. Kabuki Power Bar is there as well as the Lujanju Mastery stainless steel power bar. So some good bars there. Coming here, this is also a newer piece and maybe one of my favorites. And it's surprising because I was hemmed and hawed on getting a GHD, and then I finally got a good deal on a Rogue Abrams 2.0. I loved it so much that when I started to focus on coming down to the home gym and making it more mine, so to say, so getting a lot of the stuff that's color matched and customized, I saw this piece from Sorinex and I said, that's ridiculous. It's absurd. I got to have it. And I like it a lot. And it has the white, obviously, has the logos cut in there at the bottom. It has the diamond tread here, foot plate on top. The leather on this is very supple. It's really nice leather. This is something that you'd find probably like in a nice car, like a luxury car. And it still has that smell to it. That's great. Speaking of being great, it does have the gap for your boys, so you can keep them safe. But the Rogue GHD, even though that was fantastic, especially for the price compared to that one, it had pads that had this very similar kind of like textured leather, which isn't bad at all, but the Sorinex one is just that much nicer. Some of the things I like on it has the really wide areas for your feet. There's the diamond tread in the back again to brace your toes off of. It has built-in handles because I believe they use this for their Frankenhyper as well. So that's the combo of a GHD and the reverse hyper. But you could probably set this up where you hold that, put your legs here, and maybe put a band down here on the band pegs and do some like banded work to emulate what a reverse hyper would be to an extent. It also has a pivot point here so you can adjust it pretty easily. And it's nice because it has a foot plate. So you basically just step on that and then you can adjust this pretty easy. And then also, surprisingly enough, it has plate storage on it right in the rear if you need it, and built-in wheels. But this thing is a boss. I like it a lot. Speaking of bosses, which I like a lot, we have the Rep Fitness PR5000 V2 in this raw clear coat, which I haven't seen them do a lot of during these COVID times, because typically for these pieces of equipment, they get it and they have to go back in and grind them all in. Let's see if I can kind of get a closer view of some of this. It is a really nice finish on here. Doesn't really match the aesthetic as much, but I really wanted this because it always looked so good. And I get a lot of compliments on this. Like if people come down to the basement on occasion, not often, but down, and they're like, that's a nice rack. let's say thanks, you know, and it is. It's kind of got all the bells and whistles, and to be honest, it's very similar in function to what I have right over here. So there's not a huge difference between these, especially if you're not, I'm making air quotes, but you can't see it, an enthusiast like me. For most people, I think they'd probably prefer the Rep because it ends up being a cheaper price point. And you can also get some nice additions like the integrated lat pull down and low row, which I'm actually using as like a modified bench prop to line my bench up on. But you can get this, and it's a cost savings to Rogue, and it's really nice for the most part. Where this fails, in my opinion, is just some of the attachments. They're not as nice. You can see here, like this cheap UHMW they use on their J cups there. The leg rollers are actually super high quality. I like these a lot. The pad on them is like their gripper material that they use. And I find I use this for like single leg work for legs all the time with like a kettlebell or dumbbells or whatever the case may be. So like split squat work. I really dig that. Speaking of really dig, the AB 5200 bench, it's an adjustable bench. It's really nice. It does have a gap, which is a little bit different than the Rogue version that I have as well. But with this, however, the back pad is so long, you typically won't notice that. So this is a great bench overall. It's not as sturdy as the Rogue, but after shipping, it ends up being pretty much a couple $100 cheaper. And I owe you guys a comparison video on that because I've been saying I've been doing that for a while. Some of the things I have on here are the Equalizer urethane plates. I'm gonna do an update on these because I only did a first impressions video. I know Coop recently did his review of these. I have a couple of things I want to say differently about them, or at least throw my opinion in, which he didn't kind of cover. But these are great plates as well, especially if you want something that gives you that commercial gym vibe, which means like high quality stuff that's going to last a long, long time. I have the globe pull-up bar on here. I didn't like this. Big mistake on my part. I thought it would be pretty cool to have all these options, but to be honest, I just find that it gets in the way. Especially when I had the lever arms on here, it would limit how far you could bring these up because those angled handles would get in the way as well. So I probably would have just done a cross member or a normal pull-up bar if I could do that again. Another thing on here, which I haven't talked about yet, I have the Cleva built Android, I believe it's called, landmine. This thing reminds me of something you'd find like out of Star Wars, like this is gonna be like on the Millennium Falcon or something. Very interesting. I owe you a video on this and compare it to that Rogue one that I showed before. But a lot of people dig this thing, and it is a nice landmine. I think they just had a sale over Memorial Day, so hopefully you weren't too late if you were waiting on that. Over here in the corner, we have everyone's favorite big black clock. Just admire it for a minute. I have a dedicated review on this for one reason or another. I then hang my prong belts up here. So prong belts are here, lever belts over there. And then I have just a bunch of bands here that I'll use for stretching, or I do want to get more into band work, and maybe even some chains if I'm feeling a little aggressive. I will say with this basement gym, one of my favorite things, which I never show, is it does have a full bathroom in it. So toilet, sink, mirror, and if I'm real stank, there's a shower down there as well. Or if the wife's mad at me for one reason or another, which never happens, let's be honest. I could probably live down here and be happy with it. And then here we also have some benches that I need to be doing videos on. This is the Griffin FIDAB2, very similar to the 5200 that I just showed you. The main differences are that this one actually has a leg attachment that you can attach to it. It does do decline, and it does have these handles on here. Now the position they're in is how they show them in the installation manual. It's if you wanted to do like, let's say, I don't know, some incline rows with a barbell. However, I think what most people will do is probably put them on this end over here and then do things like incline dumbbell rows, which is obviously a movement that I'm a big fan of. We also have two different benches from Vulcan. One is kind of a very similar to the FB5000 I've talked about before. It's a 3-post design with a handle. It's a thicker pad, solid bench. And then they're more traditional 2 feet or 4 foot bench, if you will. This thing is not as ideal from a benching perspective because these feet tend to get in the way, but this thing is super sturdy. And I think some people might actually prefer this. The gripper pad on this also is very good, as is this as well, as is the 5200. Over here, I just have not necessarily a graveyard, but just stuff that I'm not currently using. So a lot of these are the extra rep attachments I have because I got literally what you would consider the Uber package. So there's lever arms on here, which I didn't find myself using too much, a belt squat, their dip attachment, and also some odds and ends from my Rogue pieces as well. Shoes and random stuff. I need to do something with this. I need to get some actual like closets or something. I got a ton of Notorious lift shoes. I wear these all the time. Those are my preferred shoe choice. But of course I have the old Addy Powers. I have some of the original Romaleos in that Volt color, which almost look like new because I never wear them. Some CrossFit Light TRs or the Power Shoe after they rebranded, and some other odds and ends from Position, and also some things from like Barefoot brand as well. So I end up wearing the slippers the most because, to be honest, I come down here and I just slip them on and that works easiest for me. Also some other odds and ends down here, extra cross members, extra gear, some lighting stuff, a shop vac to clean things up, a lot of barbell tubes as well. Speaking of barbells, these are some of the specialty bars that I have. I have the Kabuki Cadillac bar right here. And also a new addition is the Vulcan Ox bar, which is this open trap bar design. On this weight tree right now, I've rearranged the most expensive weight tree in the world. So it's not as expensive maybe as it used to be, but it's still pretty nice. I have some of these Hansu powerlifting plates and you can see some of the color differences because these are the different generations. So for instance, you can kind of see this one here. That's the original one. These are the newer design. I'll have a video updating you guys about that pretty soon. I also have the deep dish plates that I recently did a video on. The 20 kg plates as well are on there. And then on here is a Strong Arm Sport toaster oven rack where I have all the reds. I'm missing one, thanks UPS. Some of the change plates as well. These ones from Gymway, these machined ones are super nice. And then I also have some Thompson bow ties down there. I have two different ones, a formal and a casual. I think those are the words for them. And I want to call this out because I need to do a video on this, but it's so stupid, but it's so awesome. These are one of these hybrid athletics barbell cleaning tools that wrap around the bar. So you put it on the bar, if I can do this one-handed, and you go around the bar and you clean the hell out of it just like that. And this thing's awesome. This is the nylon version. There is like a steel version as well, which would obviously be good for like bare steel. But I think for most of my bars, the nylon on here is pretty aggressive. So I would even be careful of using this on like a Cerakote bar, maybe even be careful on a black zinc bar. But this thing is great and I'll do a video on that as well. Coming over here then to the corner and we're wrapping up. We're coming to a close. Rogue deadlift platform. I have the tiles in here, mostly a cosmetic. I almost said upgrade, but most people may not consider this an upgrade. I just wanted something a little bit cleaner. I didn't want to do the wood anymore with the logo because as you can see, there's lots of logos in this basement already. I do like the tiles. Some people have an issue because on some of them, they're not actually the same size as the actual frame itself. Let me move this. And you do end up getting some of these gaps, which some people find annoying, especially depending on where you stand. I don't have a problem with it, but it is something that maybe I'll go in with like some extra foam or some extra wood just to buffer, just to make sure everything's super tight. I'm also using some extra stall mats right here on this. I use these for deficit work. So each stall mat is 3/4 of an inch thick. I have two on there, so that's 1.5 inches. You can stack more up if you need them. And I also have this Cleva built full Genesis jack, full deadlift jack. I'm not sure what the name of this is, and I'm not sure if it's actually for sale. I know I've had it for almost a year now, but this thing is awesome. It's basically two Genesis jacks, which I have videos on, connected to make a full jack. This thing is great, lightweight, and it makes lifting everything so much easier than traditional jack designs. Now coming here, these are the specialty bars I have, or most of them for lower body. We'll start from the top. We have the Kabuki Duffalo bar in black oxide. I got this out of the blemish sale. I didn't think I'd like black oxide as much as I do right now. I think over time it's gonna fade and wear off, especially on the sleeves. It's looking pretty good right now though. But I love this bar. This is my second Duffalo bar. I had a Bright Zinc one in the old basement gym. And when we sold our house and had to move into a rental, I ended up getting rid of a lot of equipment. So that bar now resides with Adam from ATP Powerlifting in Arizona. He just opened a gym. So if you go out there and you go to the ATP Powerlifting gym and use a Duffalo bar, I've had my hands on it. Other things here, a couple deadlift bars. We have a Rogue Ohio deadlift bar that I got out of the Boneyard. We have a brand new Texas Power Bar deadlift bar in white Cerakote. So they just restarted doing the white Cerakote again. And I got a deadlift bar from them. And then below that is the iCell Fitness, terrible name I know, so I'll just call it the ISF deadlift bar in bare steel, which has been my go-to deadlift bar for the past year. And you can probably tell a little bit in this video. It's very similar to the design of the Texas. The Texas is a little bit longer. The knurling on the ISF one is great. I've liked a lot of my ISF bars that I've gotten, but one of the caveats I always say with any import item is it's tough for me to recommend everything, especially when there's consistency issues across batches. So my copies have been fantastic. I know some of you haven't been as lucky. That's one of the trade-offs you get with going with something that's not necessarily as tried and true as maybe as like a Texas deadlift bar, for instance. Below that, you have the Rogue squat bar in stainless steel. Got that out of the Boneyard. Great bar, probably my favorite bar overall that I own. It's thick, 32 millimeters, fully knurled in like an Ohio power bar fashion, and it's a stainless steel bar, and it's awesome. Below that is something that's relatively new, but something I haven't got a lot of time with, again, given where I am in my training cycle. That's the Kabuki Transformer bar, which was also a blemish bar pickup. Can't really tell where the blemish was. This thing is going to kill me, I'm sure, but I'd pick this up just because I already had an Elite FTS yoke bar. I just thought this would be a little bit more versatile when I start working this more in, and it probably will be, but the Elite bar was one of my favorite bars at the time. I love safety bar squats, so looking forward to getting some more use out of this. Over here in the corner, we have the wall control unit, a bunch of stuff on here. I recently got these new heavy hangers from AbMat, so I'll be using those when I start using more bands and chain. We have some Obsidian Ammonia who are nice enough to send me a bunch of their products. I haven't used a ton of it. I'm not a big ammonia person, but since this is the only one I've used, I can say this is the best ammonia I've ever used. There's also some sleeves we have from Stoic and some elbow sleeves as well. There's some white ones behind there. They've held up pretty good as well. They're not like a brown color, which I feared for. Some cleaning stuff for the Peloton, some clips for the bars. These aluminum ones from Rogue are the best. Some Pioneer Phantom wraps, which are my go-to wraps. We have his and hers for Peloton shoes, some straps, bands, all sorts of fun stuff. We have these Ironmind grippers, or Captains of Crush grippers, I should say. I have the trainer, the guide, the sport, and I have everything from a half up to 3. I haven't spent a lot of time doing this. One of you guys sent these to me because you bought them and didn't use them. I haven't spent a lot of time with them. I'd like to, and I put them here because I figured that maybe I'd use them more if I saw them all the time. Dead wedge, and then also these knockoff mag grips I got from Walmart. These are the Hulk Fit ones, $130 for all 5 attachments. In my opinion, they're not as good as the mag grips, but they're close enough, especially for the price. So they're a great price option, $130 for 5 versus like 80 to 90 for just 1. The last thing I'll call it here is I do have a TV down here. I typically don't watch a lot of TV. I'll typically just play Spotify through the app on the TV. The sound stuff I have down here is just Sonos speakers. So there is an old play bar here. There is a Sonos One. I don't know. It's a newer generation brand up there in one corner for the surround. Another one over here in this corner for the surround. And behind the Iron Bear, there's actually, it's gonna be hard to see. Let me get real down here. There's a white sub down there as well. So that's the sound system. Overpriced, it sounds good. It's overpriced for sure, as is most things in this gym. But we have Sonos in the rest of the house, so it just made sense, and I liked how I could get that stuff in white. So that is the current state of the basement gym. One of the questions I always get asked about are the banners. Where'd you get the banners? Where'd you get that banner? Whatever it says on the banner, that's where I got it. That's my answer for the most part, outside of maybe obviously the flags, maybe the Massonomics lift one. I do call out these really quick in the corner. I've been getting some questions about these, like, Brandon, I didn't know you were a URI Ramette. I'm not. My sister-in-law is the coach for them, so just repping what she does. And she also owns a dance academy, which my wife will sometimes help and assist with. So just showing the family some support. So that's the basement gym. If you have questions, comments, or anything on this, or you want my sweet opinion, let me know in the comments section below. As far as the overall price of this goes, I have no idea, and I probably don't want to. I know when I did my garage gym build previously, which was just a couple of bars and the RM3, it was like at 11 grand. The Prime Fitness unit behind me cost $4,200 by itself. So we're way up there now. If I had to do a guesstimate, I'd just say 25 grand, give or take. I do also have a bunch of stall mats, which add up in cost. I don't know how many I have in total, but it's a lot. I've taped them with Gorilla Tape, which is my favorite kind of tape and adhesive. That's how I also hang all of these banners that you see in the gym. But that's my basement gym. Show me yours. I showed you mine. Show me yours. As always, thanks for watching and stay big.
I like it a lot.